Welcome to the fourth episode of the Southern Homesteading Podcast. I'm Chuck.
And I'm Barbie.
And we are... Oh, that was Nico. We didn't introduce him. In this episode, it's Homestead Hounds Meet the WoWoos. So let's talk about dogs on a homestead. Why would somebody want to have dogs on a homestead besides having pets? Right? Anybody can have a pet. But as we mentioned before, the only time you have, the only thing that we have on the property is something that either is functional or edible or has a purpose. And even our dogs have a purpose. What are some?
But mostly they're pets.
They're not mostly pets. They do other things.
They do.
So the two reasons we can think of why you'd want to have a dog on the homestead is for livestock purposes or protection, and our dogs do a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
So for as far as livestock dogs, you use them to protect our birds from predators, which they do.
Well, and ours are kind of a different variety of livestock dog. Most people think livestock dogs. They think a dog who lives outside with the livestock, and ours don't do that.
True, they don't.
But they do protect them.
They absolutely do.
Nico thinks he's a rooster.
Yeah, that he does. And he also helps us round up the goats and the cow and other stuff. Although he's not perfect with that yet, but he does.
His herding is getting better.
It is getting better. It is getting absolutely better. But the main reason why we have dogs is for protection. Because I'm not scary enough by myself. So we need extra protection to provide an adequate level of protection for my beautiful wife.
And if you hear Nico's bark from the other side of the door, yeah.
Yeah, funny story. I did that one time. He was sleeping and I snuck up on him in front of the house and knocked on the door and he didn't know it was me. And I was scared to open the door.
You did make sure he knew it was you before you...
Yes.
Did.
So he protects the animals on the property, and he also protects Mama on the property. Mm-hmm. And we also use their hair because German Shepherds are known as shedders. Mm-hmm. They always
German Shepherd glitter.
Yep.
Everywhere.
So we actually collect their hair and disperse around the property line. It helps keep deer and other animals off our property. We know we have at least one example where we kept the bobcat off our property because of us. And the reason we know is because of the dog hair is because one night we heard it making its sounds, in which we thought it was a screaming lady, so we kind of went outside to see what it was, and we could hear it on our side of the road getting closer and closer and closer to the house. And then it seemed like it was right on top of us. All of a sudden, it just got real quiet. And then about 5 minutes later, we heard it across the street.
Yeah.
So it totally avoided our property. So that's one of the reasons it's, a lot of people don't like German Shepherds because they shed so much. I'm telling you, that's one of the things we love about our dog. It's a pain in the neck.
Yes.
Because you've got to
sweep a lot
and vacuum a lot. But it is, one of the benefits of it. Another benefit is mental health. It's a scientific fact that if you pet a dog for 15 minutes, it lowers your blood pressure. Ever hear of a therapy dog? Hello. But they also, they give you peace of mind. And there's been times, especially recently, we'll talk about that here more in a minute, but there's been times where we would, or at least me, I can't speak for Barbie, I'll let her speak for herself, where, I'm upset over something or other and just going over and loving on Bubby and something, just something
very calming.
Very calming. Very calming.
Especially when he starts giving you kisses.
Which he doesn't do too often, but he does from time to time. And he just looks his own big brown eyes at you. Yeah. So, when choosing a Hounds dog, when choosing a dog for your homestead, you really need to consider the breed. Because different dogs have different breeds. And not all different dogs have different breeds. Different dogs, breeds, have different traits. There we go. Got that right that time.
And just because they're cute doesn't mean that's the best dog for your property.
And not only do they have different traits, also, you got to look at the trainability, and we'll talk more about that as well. So first thing you need to kind of do is you need to determine, okay, what do you want them to do? And when we bought our dogs, and we did buy our dogs, we didn't get them from the shelter. Not until we have anything against shelter dogs, but our two dogs we didn't. We got them well before the homestead, so we didn't buy them with the homestead in mind.
No, they were pets.
They were pets before we brought them here, and then we kind of converted them into homesteading dogs
And pets.
and pets and pets. So you
Pets with a purpose.
So you got to figure out what is it you want them to do. Do you want them to, live outside permanently and stay with the animals, or are they actually a herding dog? Herding, not hurting, in case you didn't catch that. You also need to look at training. Now, everybody has different skill sets when it comes to training. Some people are really, really good at training, like my friend Paul, and then other people just absolutely are not good at training. And there's certain breeds that you're going to want to choose based on your ability to train. Because, for example, if you buy like a dog, I'm just trying to think of a good breed other than German Shepherd. That's a trick question. There is no other good breed besides German Shepherd. Oh, I can feel the hate email coming out.
You talking about a strong breed or
no,
cute breed?
Well, so anyways, German Shepherds, Rottweilers, and Pit Bulls, and Doberman Pinschers are very, very strong breeds. And I don't mean strong in the physical sense. I mean strong as in the mental sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a different type of person to train those. Not somebody who's I say different. I don't mean better. I mean someone who's going to be consistent with the training, go out there and make sure that the dog understands who alpha dog is, and it's not.
But in a loving way, though.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. When I say make sure the other dog knows who the alpha dog is, I don't mean beating them. I mean there's other ways you can do it, like you
positive reinforcement.
Absolutely. You eat before they eat. You make them do a command before you feed them. You don't
go out the door before they.
Yeah, there's lots of easy ways. There's lots of ways that you're not beating your dog, that your dog understands that you are the alpha dog. And with those breeds I just mentioned, you absolutely positively got to let them know that you are the alpha dog, because if you don't, they will become the alpha dog and they become even harder to train. Now, other dogs, which I don't have any experience in training, like a Great Pyrenees or maybe another breed, maybe not have this trait. They might be easily trained. Another one is a Jack Russell Terrier. Mm-hmm. It's not really considered a strong breed, but they are super intelligent, mm-hmm. and they're also really good herding dogs. But so that takes a different kind of trainer. So you also got to look at your skills. How are you good at you at training? Have you ever trained a dog before? If you haven't, get your dog signed up and go to a Canine Good Citizen class and take it through that process. And you kind of get the foundation for learning how to train your dogs, which will help you a long, long ways.
And if you're looking for specifically a livestock guardian dog, there are reputable breeders out there who will also help you in the training process, I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. And you don't necessarily have to go to a breeder. You can also get a dog from a pound, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. Next thing you want to talk about is you really want to look at the energy level of the animal. So I mentioned Jack Russell Terrier. Those things go a million miles a minute from the time they get up to the time they go to bed, and you better be an energetic owner, right? And then there's other dogs like greyhounds that they have that reputation for being couch potatoes. Yeah, they run at tracks and stuff, but they're more comfortable, just kind of lounging around. So you gotta look at your energy level as well. You gotta match that energy level between you and your dog, because if you don't keep your dog exercise, that's funny. I got a saying. I use it for kids too. A tired dog
is a happy dog.
Is a behaved dog.
Oh yeah, and is a happy dog.
And is a happy dog as well. Absolutely, it works with kids as well. So yeah, you gotta make sure that your energy level is gonna also wear out the dog. But poor Nico, he hasn't been getting his energy used up lately because we have nothing but rain for the last 4 or 5 days. It's just I'm tired of the rain. But you do gotta take in mind you gotta burn off that excess energy so they're at a better mental state.
And speaking of kids, you've got to find an animal too that has a really good temperament and it's gonna work well with your kids.
But Chuck, I ain't got no kids, so I don't have to worry about that. My kids are all grown up. They're out of the house.
What about grandkids? What
Oh
about the
yeah.
neighbor's kids?
Oh yeah, grandkids. Oh, there's a whole thing about being responsible for your actions. Again, yeah. So yes, even though you may not have kids or you may not have grandkids, that does not mean necessarily that your dog won't ever be exposed to kids.
No, I mean if they're outside and a kid walks by the yard and puts their finger in through the fence, I
Yeah.
mean you're responsible.
And what if you have a friend, right? And your friend comes over and your friend has kids,
Yes.
right? So you got to think, absolutely got to think about that. Even if you don't have kids, it may be less of a concern, but you still need to make sure that they're going to be good for that.
Mm-hmm.
You also got to pick one that's good for your homesteading location.
Yes.
Now, this is the Southern Homesteading Podcast, so we are in the South, Zone 9B, which means we don't get too many days of freezing temperature. So a dog with a really thick coat or a dog with a double coat may not necessarily be.
And German Shepherds do have a double coat.
Right. Well, like I said, it may not necessarily be.
Yes.
That's I didn't say absolute. I don't speak in terms of
Yes.
absoluteness because for that very reason.
Huskies have a hard time in Florida.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but if you live in Maine or Minnesota, don't you know? Well, that might absolutely be a good breed for you there. And the reason I say this is because down here, if you have a dog that's got a double coat or thick coat like a husky does, it can easily become overheated, and I mean literally quickly, especially in the summertime.
Well, we had to keep an eye out with Sasha because her coat was thicker than Nico's, so she spent a lot of time outside in her pool to stay cool.
She had her own special pool that she can go in and cool off on, and absolutely. Another thing when you have a dog that has a lot of thick fur like that is, especially if you're going to be spending a lot of time outside, you got to watch out for insects like ticks and ants and stuff like that. The fire ants down here will definitely tear up a dog in a heartbeat, especially if the dog likes to chase balls and you happen to throw the ball and it happens to land in a ant bed. Mm-hmm. Because most dogs are so dedicated in getting that ball, they just bite right into it, and then they kind of put the ball down, and you kind of look at the ball like the ball bit them, and it wasn't the ball. Ask me how I know that one. But you might be able to mitigate that somewhat by keeping your dog inside at night. There's two sides to every coin. If your dog's an outside dog and he's outside running with your animals in the areas that your animals run, stepping in animal feces, and do you really want that dog coming inside?
Right. Which is why ours don't go into the animal.
No. So all of our animals are in a separate shelter, separate fenced-off area. And although if we leave the gate open, they will sometimes come walking in.
Then they get to have nice little foot baths before they go inside.
Yes. So some of the most common breeds that I've seen people use on homesteads, and these are by no means an all-inclusive list. Great Pyrenees. My cousin has one of those. He actually has 5 of them. He doesn't have a homestead. He has a house in Texas somewhere, and he has 5 of them. Beautiful dogs. German Shepherds. Obviously, that fits in our category. Burmese Mountain Dogs. But they're really big. You better have a big shovel to clean up after them and a lot of food. And a Bull Mastiff. And those are just a few of them. Of course, there's also, we mentioned the Jack Russell Terrier. They're good at herding dogs.
Blue heelers, I've seen people use those for herding dogs before. Several different breeds.
So now you're probably making, if you are deciding, then you got to decide, okay, do I want a puppy or do I want a full-grown dog? I want a puppy. I want puppy kisses. I want that puppy breath kissing me.
Breath.
Yes. And there's advantages and disadvantages to each one. You got to kind of decide which is going to be best for your lifestyle or best for your situation. Now with the puppy, what I would consider as an advantage and a disadvantage is lots of training. Especially in the very beginning. You got to train them all the time. You got to be consistent with the training. They will get to a point in their lives once you got all their commands done that you can back off the training somewhat, but you still want to do it. Right, so that's a disadvantage because it takes time from your day from doing other things.
But an advantage is they usually don't have any bad habits.
Thank you. Yes, I was trying to remember what was the other. What was one I had it in my head. It just went right out of my head. Yes. So, but they don't have bad habits that might have come from previous owners or stuff like that. So, and they don't necessarily have ill feelings or bad feelings towards other animals. You can train them to be near a dog. Where the dog that you picked up the pound might have been taken to the pound because they had it and it killed their chickens. You don't know that.
Right.
And then you bring it home to your chickens and it goes, look, chicken dinner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Yeah, then you got more problems. Yeah. So it's a blank slate. So it's usually no bad habits, but you do have to create that foundation. And I'll be the first to admit that wasn't really good with this. I did a good foundation for our dogs, but when you got in the homestead, I wasn't good at keeping them training them often. What I mean by that is, for example, if you just watched our YouTube video, the one we just published, Meet the WoWoos, um, you'll see where I take Nico through some of his commands, and I taught my dogs in German, and some people look at that and go, man, that dog's really well trained, and then people who train for a living look at this, that dog's not healing correctly.
Right.
And just so you know, that was the first time that I've done commands with him in probably 2 years.
Yes.
And that was the first time. That wasn't like, hey, let's do it a couple times to get you into practice and then we'll turn the camera on. That was the first time.
So the fact that he remembered it at all,
yeah. So I got to work with him more often and stuff. But that does, not only does it teach him command, it also reinforces you're the alpha dog and also helps them with behavior down the road. Right. So the other option would be maybe to pick up an older dog. Right. Now, an older dog, the advantage there is you may not have to train it as much, especially if you happen to pick the dog up from another homestead, because it may be already trained to be around animals. But if you picked up the pound,
I would be wary though if I was getting one from another homestead. Why are they getting rid of it?
I wouldn't rule it out, but I would certainly ask additional questions.
Yes.
Why are you getting rid of this dog?
Yes.
Because it might be a fact where they had a litter of puppies, and maybe some other
they had more than one,
right? Or they're looking to decrease the amount of dogs that they have.
Yes.
So there are legitimate reasons why Homestead might want to get rid of a dog, but I wouldn't arbitrarily just rule out a dog came from another homestead, I can't get that dog, because there are legitimate reasons. But also, people lie.
Most people, I think, would be honest though and tell you why.
Well, when it comes to dog owners, there seems to be two types of dog owners. There's the people who have dogs and they see the dog as a convenience, and there's some emotional attachment to a dog, but not a whole lot. Actually, maybe there's three types of dog owners, and then there's people who love their dogs, and then there's people like us. The dogs are family members, and our dogs get treated as well as our kids, as our grandkids. So they are family members through and through. Another thing about getting an older dog is you don't know what bad habits it's coming to your house with. It might be potty trained, which a puppy would not be, and that's another contrast there for you. But the dog might have had a chewing problem. That might be the reason why they're getting rid of it, because it was chewing everything, or it didn't get along with the cat, or whatever case may be.
Yep.
And with an older dog, you may also have health issues coming along with it. You have health issues with a puppy too, but with an older dog, you might have more issues.
You expect them more with older dogs.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have a breed that has a predisposition to certain things, like German Shepherds are known for hip dysplasia. Well, hip dysplasia in a puppy is different than hip dysplasia in an 11-year-old dog.
Yes.
And so you may have those issues going on. And so then you got to ask yourself, okay, do I want a full-blooded dog or do I want a mixed breed?
I want all the dogs.
You want all the dogs?
I do.
All of the dogs?
All the dogs. All the
puppies. Okay, so in order for you to have all the dogs, you got to give up all your goats.
No.
All your chickens.
No.
All your ducks.
I didn't say that.
Yes. No. Can't. No. No. And there's again, there's pros and cons to both, right? So with with a purebred dog or a full-blooded dog, that they're bred for specific tasks. So much so that they're instinctual. Again, German Shepherds, they're known for herding dogs
and protecting.
Yeah. So they naturally migrate right straight to that. But they also might have certain health issues that go along with that. As I already mentioned, German Shepherds are prone to hip dysplasia. Other breeds are prone to back issues, kidney issues, skin issues,
allergies.
So you got to determine what is your pain level. What are you willing to accept for whatever dog? Because it's going to be a commitment.
It's a lifetime
It
commitment.
is a lifetime commitment. And with mixed breeds, generally those types of issues are less. A mixed breed dog can still be predispositioned to
Allergies.
allergies. No, I wasn't going to say allergies. I was going to say bloat. Right.
Yeah.
But generally, when you get a dog that's mixed breed, it's only because humans, want to have full-blooded dogs that these things usually come into play. But usually, mixed breeds, that it's less of an issue. But you could still have an issue though.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 3 dogs on our homestead, and in no particular order, let's talk to you about each of those. First one is Nico. You heard him barking earlier when we first got on the podcast because he's an attention dog. He's our 9-year-old dog. He is full-blooded, but we don't have papers on him because the papers wasn't really.
He's our discount dog.
Yes, that's one of his nicknames, the discount dog, because we got him for $100. One of Barbie's friends from school had 2 German Shepherds, a male and a female.
Separated in 2 different cages.
And as pets, they weren't breeders. And the female came in heat, so they separated them in crates. And
While they were gone.
And dogs being dogs.
The male escaped and got to the female, and we have our
Nico.
Beautiful Nico.
Our beautiful Nico, yes. So he has lots of nicknames. You already heard one, discount dog. Bubby Boy, yes, we call him that. Sweet Boy, Bubba.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I call even the grand boys Bubba or the animals Bubba sometimes. and when I do that, he kind of looks at me like, "What, Dad? You're talking to the cow?" Sometimes I call Duke or cow Bubba, and it just kind of just rolls off the tongue. So he's got lots of different names. He will answer to all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and he has his likes.
Yes.
He loves to help with the animals.
Yes,
because you want a happy dog, give a dog a job.
He loves having a job.
Yes, he does. He does have a job. I mean, that's one of his jobs, along with protection. He also loves to play chase.
Yes, not fetch.
Not fetch, chase. Yes, so if you throw a ball, he will chase it down, grab it, bring it back about 5 feet, and then lay down and chew on it.
Because he doesn't want you to have it.
Yeah, he likes playing keep away. We also have a ring, and if you ever watch our videos, you've probably seen it in there. We have a ring from the top of a 55-gallon drum,
mm-hmm.
and we roll that. And he'll chase that thing, and then he'll grab it, and he'll prance with it when he's got it in his mouth. So he loves to do that. He also loves to cuddle.
He does. You forgot one of the biggest thing he likes to chase. Squirrels.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So much so that you can't even say the word squirrel.
No, if you say it, he starts this high-pitched bark.
Let's see if we can do it. Nico, squirrel! Point made. Okay, come here, Bubby.
Good boy.
Okay, now we got to get him to quiet down.
Yes. Sorry if you hear a German Shepherd breathing now. He's a little excited. He's going to hop on the chair back here.
Yep. But I think his absolute most favorite thing
is the grand boys.
Is absolutely. So the grand boys are his favorite, but he also has a favorite grand boy as well. And I'm not going to say who it is, just on the off chance that they might be listening. But all you got to do is watch him interact with the grand boys, and within 5 minutes,
he loves them all.
He does love them all, but there's one that's his absolute favorite.
Yeah.
Yes. So the next one we have is Charlie. Charlie is a 16-year-old shepherd/hound mix.
Yes.
And he was actually my daughter's dog. You'll see him in our videos. He's the small dog. We got him when he was about 15 years old. My daughter has had him since she was a little kid, and she has 2 babies of her own now. And he's a senior dog with senior needs, and she couldn't deal with that and a brand spanking new baby and a 2-year-old baby. Mm-hmm. So we agreed to bring him up here to the farm. And he was officially in retirement. He did not have a job other than just to make Mom feel happy and give Mom a lovin's.
My Charlie Bug.
That was his nickname, Charlie Bug. His likes, he loves to snuggle, and he loved to take naps.
Well, and he loved to walk around the property. Yes. Every morning and every evening when we go out, he would walk the entire property at a very slow pace, but...
And he'd always have a smile on his face when he did that too.
Smiling from ear to ear.
You could not know that dog wasn't happy. He just smiled out on his face. And I say was because unfortunately we had to put Charlie down last week.
Yes.
Yes, and
8 days ago.
he 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 had what was that disease he had?
Oh.
So
if you hadn't asked me, I could have told you.
Don't you hate when somebody puts you on the spot like that?
Vestibular
There
disease,
you go. So
where he was off balance, had trouble walking, had a head tilt, some neurological kind of condition.
Yes, he just went downhill. Like it seemed like almost overnight. He was doing fine, and all of a sudden he got bad. And then I finally called my daughter and said, "You need to come up here," because I didn't think he was going to make it through the night. Yeah, and she came up and hung up, loved on him for about an hour or so, and he actually hung on till the next day, and we got to the point where
he had quit eating and quit drinking, right, and couldn't go out to potty.
Yep. Yep. So we, after about 26 hours into that event, we just made a hard decision and said it's not fair to him to have to go through that and suffer through that. So we found an emergency bed and took him over there, and he crossed the Rainbow Bridge. But that was our Charlie bug. Yep. And then the other dog that we have is Sasha.
Our mama bear.
Mama bear, also known as the princess, also known as baby girl. She has lots of nicknames. She's, and I would let you know right out of the gate, she's also, unfortunately, we had to put her down 5 days before we put down Charlie. So we had to put 2 dogs down within 5 days of each other.
It hasn't been a good couple of weeks here.
No, it hasn't. And that's one of the reasons why, if you watched the YouTube channel, you saw the memorial to them both. But it just really affected us and drained us, and we didn't do anything, for as far as media-wise. Just, it drained us. I mean, Sasha was, don't get me wrong.
She was with us for 11 years.
We had her since she was 8 weeks old. We had her for 11 years. And it absolutely devastated us when we had to put her down. And we had to put her down because she had hip dysplasia, and it got to the point where she was on the max on all of her medications, and she still was in pain. And she
was, you could tell the last couple of days she was in pain, and she had started having seizures.
Yep.
And we were trying medication on that, but.
Yep. So she was a full-blooded German Shepherd. She was actually a pink-papered German Shepherd, a German Shepherd.
A German.
And so the story of how we got her is I decided I wanted to have a Rottie, but where we were living at the time, I didn't think we'd have a Rottie because they had the homeowners association. And so I said, you know what, we'll get a German Shepherd.
And I had a German Shepherd when I was little, so I had always wanted another German Shepherd.
So we, found a breeder online and went over to the other side of Florida and picked her up and brought her home. And like I said, she's absolutely been a part of this family. She did have her Canine Good Citizen certificate.
But that's when we found out that she had hip dysplasia.
Yes. The end goal was I wanted to do search and rescue work with her. And so the first step is to get her Canine Good Citizen. And then once we finish that class, the trainer told us, look, before and we know what you want to do with her, but before you put her in the next class, get her hips x-ray, because I think she has hip dysplasia. So we had her x-ray. And not only did she have hip dysplasia, she had severe hip dysplasia. So she, at that point, became an overpriced, overtrained couch potato. Her job was basically to keep the couch from floating off the ground, and boy, did she do a great job.
Until she was 8 or 9, she went on walks, and she was very active and all.
Yes.
But she got to where she couldn't even walk a mile without hurting for a couple of days after that. So.
And then that distance kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and so as a matter of fact, so she knew all of her commands in German, English, and hand signal. And matter of fact, she taught Nico. Well, no, Nico learned from observing her.
Yes.
And it's, you want to freak somebody out, talk to a German Shepherd in German in public. Is your dog a police dog? No. Is your dog a canine? All dogs are canines. What do you mean by that? So yeah, it freaks people out. But she also did a good job in keeping Nico in line. That's how she got her nickname Mama Bear. She treated
him like hers.
Yeah, she was like, I think 2 when we brought Nico home.
And
Yeah.
she cleaned him and loved
Yep.
on him
Yep.
and corrected him. And
Yep. Yep. She was his de facto mom, and she
of
was
course,
all
she corrected him up until the day before she died.
absolutely, absolutely, and she was the best ambassador for the German Shepherd breed. And when I say ambassador, um, a lot of people are afraid of German Shepherds just because of TV and media, or they see
Or childhood.
Yeah, exactly,
trauma.
exactly. So one of our friends, she was I think bit by a German Shepherd.
She had a negative experience. I don't remember if she was bit, but I know it was a negative experience as a child.
And then, so it was before we had the homestead, and we asked her one time to watch Sasha for us. This was before we had Nico, because we were going somewhere, and so she was kind of reluctant. So we brought her over to introduce her to it, and she fell in love with Sasha. And
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where if I was outside walking Sasha, I was actually one time taking her on one of our longer walks, and she happened to be driving by and she saw us, so she pulled in the parking lot just so she could come and say hi to Sasha. And then our vet was the same way when she was like, I've always been a little bit afraid of German Shepherds, but you're
Not the vet.
No, not the vet, the vet
tech. She wasn't afraid of them. She just said our German Shepherds, especially Sasha, was one that she really liked.
Right. So she's converted many people who were afraid of German Shepherds because she was a good ambassador to the breed.
And she helped with the livestock too, getting them up. Some she was more of a barrier than anything else.
I was going to say even when we put her in a command like a down command or whatever and create a lane. Mm-hmm. And she did good, Dad. Okay, lay right here, Dad. Gotcha. I got it covered. And she'd lay there, and the goats wouldn't go past her. They didn't know that she wouldn't get up and chase them. They just saw a big animal with big teeth. But so her likes is she definitely loved the pizza crust.
She had a duck too that used to sleep beside her.
I don't remember that.
Lucy and Ethel, they would come over and sleep right near where she was out in the yard.
I forgot that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she definitely loved pizza crust. If you eat pizza, she'd be right there looking at you.
Yeah.
She loved her pizza crust. She loved lounging in her pool.
Yes.
And we had a little kiddie pool for her that we actually had to replace one of them. One got broke. And that's how one of those we dealt with the excess heat here in Florida. We would put that out there for her.
In the shade.
But you had to keep an eye on it because if you didn't and the ducks were out, the ducks would go swimming in the pool. And then now your dog's laying in dirty duck water. So you kind of watch out for that. And she definitely loved being doted on like a princess, hence the nickname
she was
princess.
such a princess. I mean, when she'd sit on the couch, she'd sit there and her front paws, she'd have them crossed daintily.
Oh, yeah, she definitely had that air about her.
Mm-hmm. And if you get onto her, she'd look at you like, I know you're not talking to me.
So she was definitely a princess.
Yes. And if you get onto her, she'd look at you like, I know you're.
Oh yeah, yeah. She had that way of.
She'd cut her eyes at you.
She had her way of kind of like she wouldn't turn her head and look at you direct eye to eye. She would kind of keep her head going a different direction. She'd take her eyes and look out of the corner of her eyes like, I can't believe you just said that to me. Yeah,
we miss our mama bear.
We do miss our mama bear. I just made her a special headstone yesterday, and it's curing today. And when the rain stops, I'll go buy a rain pen and
Nico misses her and Charlie too.
Nico's absolutely been depressed since the other two WoWoos have been put away or put down. The WoWoos, yeah, what is a WoWoo? I get asked that all the time. What's a WoWoo? My dad used to call the dogs a WoWoos, so it's just an affectionate term for a dog.
I think it comes from the way that they bark. They go woo 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 woo.
Might be. I never asked my dad that, but that's why you hear me say, meet the WoWoos, or I'll refer to the dogs as WoWoos. Sometimes people look at me like, what the heck is he talking about? I mean the dogs. Oh yeah. So in conclusion, today's podcast, what we all talked about. Talked about
different types of dogs.
Yeah, working versus a pet, and it can be both.
Yes.
It could be exclusively one or the other.
Yeah.
But ours happen to be both. We all talked about the benefits of having dogs on homesteads. There's lots of benefits besides protecting your animals and protecting you and your health and stuff like that. We talked about
some of the common breeds.
Yep. And so we identified some common breeds, and you got to look at all that stuff to figure out which one's best for you.
Mm-hmm. So, do we let people know what our future plans are?
Yes, let's do that. There's a couple of things we wanted to talk about. So, we're down to one dog.
Yes.
And the house feels
empty.
empty with one dog.
But it hasn't been long enough yet.
No, it hasn't. We're still
grieving.
Yes, I can't speak for Barbie again, but I know when I walk around corners and stuff where where Sasha used to lay all the time, I still expect to see her there, and when she's not there, I still get that pain in my heart from
missing her. And I
missing
still
her.
miss Charlie Bug too. Sasha was with us a lot longer.
Absolutely. But I have a friend who breeds German Shepherds. Not the one. He's got a litter coming up. He's going to start. They should be available for pickup like February of next year, so that should give us plenty of time to get past the grieving process. Yeah. I'm assuming by then we'll be chomping at the bit to have another dog. So we're in place, at least have another dog.
We're not replacing anybody.
Right, true. Nika needs a running buddy. Now, whether it's male or female is a different story.
Yeah.
We got to decide that process.
And we got to see what's born first, too. We
True.
may not have an option.
True. Because female dogs generally migrate towards male owners, and male dogs kind of adopt females as the female owners. And but male dogs are usually more protective of property. Female dogs are usually more protective of people. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I love the fact that the connection I have with Sasha. And so I don't know. We'll make that decision down the road. I'm not making it right now. And then another thing that happened, because this has not been a good month.
No.
So we had 3 female goats and a male goat that we bred, and they were, as of the recording of this podcast, they were supposed to be giving birth in about 3 weeks or so.
2 to 3 weeks. Yeah. Well, 1 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. And so we went out Saturday morning, and Noelle, our baby goat, the one that was born here,
our
firstborn on the property,
Homestead,
had a stillborn.
Yeah.
And
but she was also, we found her very swollen. So she had some sort of infection set in. We don't know if it was from a snake bite or a cut. She did have a couple of cuts on her, so something could have gotten in her bloodstream.
Right.
But she was swollen, her chest underneath and her front legs, and the vet thinks that caused her to deliver prematurely, and the baby did not survive.
Right, and it wasn't just swollen. I mean, it looked like she was a balloon.
Yes.
It looked like somebody stuck a straw in her and blew it up.
And she's still not completely over it. She's been on medicine, round of antibiotics, and the swelling's starting to dissipate. So we're done with the death cycle. We're ready for the newborn cycle to come around. We're ready for the baby goats to come. Baby goats, and we did find a baby tortoise the other day. We put that on our Instagram.
Oh, that thing was stinking cute.
It was so adorable.
Yeah. So if you like this content that we did today, let us know. Send us an email or comment on one of the platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Mm-hmm. And we'll go maybe in more depth on homesteading a dog and training a dog.
Hey, and we may have some new YouTube content on the Bowser Journal come February when our new dog does come.
Yeah, because my friend lives in Virginia and we're in Florida, so that would be I'd have to fly up there, get the dog, and get a rental car and drive back. So that would be a great video. And by the way, it is a German Shepherd.
Yes.
So
we were considering a what was the other one? Belgian Malinois.
Yes.
But Chuck knows Paul and knows the type of puppies that come out of his breeding stock.
Yes.
And
Paul's a breeder. He's not in it for the money. He's in for the betterment of the breed.
It will be an excellent addition.
Yes. One of his dogs, and again, I started mentioning this earlier, but I got sidetracked. That was my ADD kicking in. But one of his dogs he actually flew it over to Germany to live with a specific trainer for a year, and got ranked like number 4 in the world, number 5 in the world, something like that. And so his dogs are worth a lot of money. And remember, he was selling those dogs for like $4,000. Those puppies for $4,000. But the one
we're not getting one of those.
No, we're not getting one of those. No. I would love to have one of those. Don't get me wrong, in case you're listening, Paul. But no, we're happy with any dog from his breed, because I know that he's in it for the betterment of the breed. And those dogs, they're all short-haired dogs, and they've been bred
And
and
he
OFA
cares about
certified. Absolutely.
his breeders.
So be watching for a new edition in a few months, because but before that, we'll have new editions of baby goats.
Goat tail videos.
Yeah.
Make sure you check us out on YouTube, The Bowser Journal. We're also on Instagram and Facebook under The Bowser Journal. So we'd love to see you on those platforms.
Until then,
live your own story. So y'all come back now, you hear? You hear? You hear? You hear?